Hi everyone, my name is Natalia. I'm going to take you through a Yin Yoga practice. So Yin Yoga is a really slow and meditation style practice. You won't need to do any strenuous movements, and by the end of the practice, I'm hoping that you feel super relaxed and really deep into that meditation phase. You won't need anything other than a mat. Maybe you want to grab a blanket or a pillow just for comfort. But we'll get straight into a little bit of mindful breathing first. So if you want to come into a comfortable cross-leg position, now normally I would say keep your back nice and straight, but with it being yin, if you want to lean up against a wall or lean up against a sofa just to support your back, that's absolutely fine. We're going to close down our eyes and just take a couple of deep breaths in and out through the nose. Quite often we can be busy rushing around all day, and just sitting with the eyes closed, taking a few breaths is a really good way to calm down the central nervous system. Relax the muscles around the face. Make sure there's a space between the teeth in the back of your mouth. And allow the shoulders to slide down the back. Feeling the gentle rise and fall of the chest and belly. And when you're ready, blinking your eyes open. So we're going to typically hold these poses for around 3 minutes. Some might be a little bit longer. If you can, please try and stay in the pose for the full 3 minutes. So we're going to start with a twisted child's pose. So if you want to come onto your knees. Now if you know that you have sensitive knees, you maybe want to put a blanket underneath or maybe a cushion. We're going to take the knees about as wide as your yoga mat, or if you don't have one, just imagine how wide a yoga mat can be, and then dropping down with the hands out in front. So this is your child's pose. To do a twisted child's pose, we're going to thread our right arm underneath our left one and bring the right ear to the floor. Allow the palm of the right hand to face the sky. And when you arrive in your pose, close down through your eyes. Now, depending on your flexibility level, you might be feeling some pinching sensations through the hips, maybe a lot of resistance through that right shoulder. But the purpose of yin isn't to fight against your body. The purpose of yin is to feel the sensations and stay calm with those sensations. Maybe your feet will be experiencing some slight pins and needles. And that is completely normal. As soon as we begin to move our body again, the blood flow will return and those feelings will dissipate. Now we're about halfway through. If you do want to go any deeper, you can really push that right arm further through and maybe take that left arm behind the back of the body, catching hold of your right thigh. getting a much deeper twist through the top part of the spine. If you are experiencing any discomfort, try and really breathe deep into the belly and just let that feeling go. This should be a really nice and passive practice. And take a full breath in. As you exhale, release that left arm to the ground. Use that left hand to push your body back up to seated, and then just come to lie on your front. Maybe making a pillow for your head with your hands, possibly shaking the hips. Now, these little peaceful moments between the poses are really important. It gives you the time to figure out how you was feeling. And if any sort of emotions came up in that pose. And when you're ready, we can push back into our child's pose. We're going to take it on the opposite side now. So knees mat width apart. Stretch your right arm out and post your left arm underneath. Now try and be relaxed with the left arm. Try and sit your hips back to your heels as far as they'll go. And see if you can close the eyes down. And Yin Yoga really gives us a space to explore the inner cages of the mind. What's going on deep in the psyche? Now if you took this on the other side, you can maybe wrap your right arm around, catching your left thigh now. And try and breathe normally through these poses. If at any point your breath becomes short and shallow, you've gone too deep and you need to come out a little bit. And when you're ready, slowly release that right arm down and come to lie once more on your tummy. Maybe shake the hips from side to side. And then when you feel ready, pushing up through your hands. And we're going to come to sit down with our legs out straight. So this pose is a really nice one to just let gravity do the work. If you do want to have a pillow or a couple of cushions supporting you underneath, that's absolutely fine. You can take those now. But for us here in the studio, we're just going to use gravity and let everything sort of settle in its own time. So gently pulling the belly button into the spine, I want you to start to drop the head down and take the hands either side of the legs with the palms facing up towards the sky. Now some of us will be just slightly leaning over. Some of us may be a little bit closer to our knees or shins. But this isn't an exercise that you need to force the deepest expression of it. Wherever you are is perfectly fine. The three main important components of Yin Yoga is stillness, time, we allow the time to pass, and release. So try not to hold on to any tension whatsoever. And what you'll find is the more you let go, the deeper you fold into this pose. So try not to force it with the hands, just let them completely relax. The only thing that should be working is gravity. Now again, if you have low blood pressure like me, you might experience some pins and needles. This is totally normal. Each time you breathe out, see if you can actively drop the head and make it even heavier. We've got about a minute left here. Last 5 deep breaths. And before you come up out of the pose, just pay attention to how much deeper you are now than when you went into it. So it does really work. And slowly use the hands to push your body all the way up and then come to lie down on your ground. If you've got any sort of tight sensations in the lower back, you can keep your heels on the ground and just allow the knees to fall into each other. Some of us might only experience this stillness when we practice yoga. It's a really integral part of the day. Allowing yourself that space and time just to be, without any stress or anxiety. Just giving yourself the gift of time. Okay, bringing our body up, we're going to take another pose. So this one in particular, you might want to fold your mat over or use a blanket. It can be quite challenging on the knees. So this is called frog pose, and I want you to imagine the frog's legs as we go into this pose. Now, it's important that you don't lean too far forward because it'll take the stretch out of your hips. So take the knees about as wide as they'll go, and then look backwards and see that your knee and ankle is in one line and your foot and ankle is in one line, so your toes kind of turn out. And then drop down either to the forearms, to the chest. If you come into the chest, like I said, try not to lean forward, keep the weight back and just drop down. So frog pose for most people can be quite unpleasant and it's a real testament to your strength, to your determination, and the more you settle into the pose, the easier it becomes. When you realise that the time is going to pass anyway, it makes more sense to just relax into it. Bring the focus back to the breath. Make sure you haven't let it slip into that short and shallow rhythm once more. Got less than a minute here. Last 5 deep breaths. Now if you need to make a little groan or noise when you come out, that's fine. I want you to come out slow. So push into the hands first. Bring the toes together and then slowly start to shimmy your knees. Ooh, close together. If you need to let out a big sigh, feel free. And just sit for a minute. It can be a really challenging pose, this one, but a really beneficial one. Now the hips really hold on to a lot of emotional stress. So anything from a bad day to a really traumatic life event can be stored in the hips. So it's not unsurprising that if you come out of a hip pose, you might feel emotional, you could feel sad, you could feel angry. Some people erupt in laughter. So just let whatever comes up, allow it to be there. You're in a safe place and it's fine to let those feelings go. So for our final sort of pose, what I'm going to ask you to do is find a space next to a wall. If you don't have access to a wall, maybe use the sofa. But you need enough space to send your legs up high, maybe to open them. I'm going to move my mat over to the wall and I'll explain the next pose. Okay, so now you've found your position by the wall. I want you to sit side onto the wall or the sofa and get your hip as close to it as you can. Then what we're going to do is lie down onto the ground with your head facing the opposite way and slide your legs up the wall, and then you can use your elbows to shimmy. So you want the base of your hips all the way at the wall, so get closer, closer. There we go. Now you want straight legs for this ideally. Maybe draw the feet together. And this pose is absolutely incredible for eliminating anxiety. So close down the eyes. Now what you'll feel happening during this pose is the exchange of blood flow. So if you can imagine, your feet are always working, we're always having our feet at the bottom of our body. And they've got to work really hard to pump the blood back up the legs all the time. Even if we're sitting down, gravity is always against them. So when we take our legs up the wall, we're finally giving them a bit of space to breathe. To send the blood the opposite direction. And when we do finally come to bring our legs down, fresh oxygenated blood will go back through the feet and legs. Now you don't have to do a full yoga practice to take this pose. You could quite literally get in from your day and just sit with your legs up the wall for 5 minutes. You will reap all of the amazing benefits of that. And deep breaths in the belly. So depending on how much space you have, and if you have a wall or a sofa, I'll show you what to do if you don't have much space. So if you don't have much space, you can just slide the feet together like this. If you do have space, we're going to allow the legs to slide open and fall as deep as we can into a wide leg fold. And you'll feel the blood sort of rush back through the legs. Now use your hands to gently guide your knees into your chest. And then from here, roll onto your side. If you have low blood pressure, your left side, please. And if not, you can roll onto your right. Take whatever option you choose. Using your hands to push you up to a seat. Maybe resting your back against the wall, keeping your eyes closed. So that was a brief introduction to Yin Yoga. Now some of those poses you can hold for maybe 3, 5 or 7 minutes. Even just 3 minutes you'll get the benefits of those deep connective tissue stretches. I hope you feel happy, calm, relaxed. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.